Hi guys, welcome to this Money Control live stream. You're watching Morning Trade with me, Nandita Khemka. Good Wednesday morning turning out for the global markets, given the fact that we saw Wall Street clock a good rally and Asian markets also extending gains in today's session. After a day-long breather, looks like the Nifty is all set to resume its upward journey, as we enter into, Diwali Muhurat trading on Sunday. But, lots of cues to digest in terms of, reactions to earnings. We'll be talking about a lot of stock-specific action. We'll be talking about all your stock-related queries. We'll try and take them up with our technical experts on the show. So if you have any queries, send them in to us on our YouTube feed and we'll try and take them up. But of course, before we go any further, let's take a look at the top headlines at this hour. Wall Street bulls continue to party as the S&P 500 and Nasdaq register their longest winning streak since 2021. Treasury yields too edge lower. Meanwhile, Asian markets perk up in early trade. The GIFT Nifty, as I was mentioning, is hinting at a start around that 19,500 mark. Crude slumps over 4% to around $81 a barrel as global economic data overshadows the threat of escalation in the Israel-Hamas war. Among stocks in focus, watch out for result reactions on IRCTC, Apollo Tyre as well as Power Grid. Meanwhile, IndiGo may fly into rough weather in today's session as the airline expects to have over 70 planes grounded by March 2024 due to the ongoing engine issues with Pratt & Whitney. Also watch out for numbers from Tata Power, United Spirits, Lupin and Pidilite. And it's being termed as one of the greatest ODI knocks ever. Injury hit Glenn Maxwell becomes the first non-opener to make a double hundred as he steers Australia into the World Cup semi-finals. From an impossible position of 91 for the loss of 7 wickets, the five-time champions chased down 291 runs to snatch a victory over Afghanistan. Well, let me bring on board our guest for today. Joining me is Kunal Rambhia, who's the founder of The Streets. Good morning, Kunal. Great to have you on the show. Let's talk about the market setup. Looks like we are expected to resume the uptrend that we've seen over the last few sessions. The Nifty managed to close above that 19,406 level, which incidentally happens to be the 20 DMA mark, right? So that's a crucial level to watch out for. And GIFT Nifty today hinting at that 19,500 mark likely to be reclaimed by the Nifty. What is your own sense? Do you expect the Nifty to cross that crucial level decisively today?
Very good morning, Nandita. Morning to all our viewers. So if you look at the Nifty, yes, we saw a good uptick from the extreme low levels of around 18,800, and by now Nifty is up by around 3.25%, approximately trading near to 19,400 mark. As you rightly said, we are witnessing again these gap of opening kind of scenario almost every day nowadays. But the levels to watch out for here are 19,600 mark. And this level is somewhat which we are witnessing as a resistance mark right from the peak of those 20,200 mark. There is a descending trend line which is offering a resistance at around 19,600. So I think from the present levels, 200 to 50 points more to go on the upside, but then I would turn a little cautious. So if anyone is trading on the index front, in today's gap of opening, one should not really be keen to jump and buy on the indices, but the stock-specific movements can definitely continue.
All right, stock-specific movements likely to continue. Hold that thought, Kunal. We'll talk about the Nifty Bank Index and all the other stocks that will be in focus, and of course all of your queries as well in just a bit. But let me also bring on board Deepak Malik of Carnelian Capital to take stock of the report card that has been handed in by the pharma sector in the second quarter. Great to have you on the show, Deepak. First of all, what according to you has been a big hit or a big miss when it comes to the pharma scorecard in the second quarter? Most of these biggies like Dr. Reddy's, Cipla, Sun, they've managed to beat estimates. But what are the key takeaways according to you when it comes to the second quarter performance?
Thanks, Nitika, having me on your show. Good morning. So yes, you're right. So most of these big pharma companies have been able to beat the estimates, and largely the beat is coming from the US market. US, where for the last few years the companies were facing a lot of price erosion and price pressure. In the last one quarter, things are turning around. The prices are getting stable, and these companies are launching new products, which is leading to healthy growth in the US market. So that is not only helping in the revenue growth, but is also helping in bumping up the margins. If you see Cipla very good results. Despite having weakness in the domestic market, they are still able to manage to beat the estimates because they have done good in the US market. Same is the case with the Dr. Reddy. Same is the case with Sun Pharma. Everyone, they are doing very good in the US market, which is leading to the beat on the estimates.
Right. But what about US FDA issues? Do you think that will continue to be an overhang in the near term?
I think there are a lot of supply issues and shortages are happening in US. So US FDA is cognizant of this fact that they'll not go very aggressive in terms of putting up a lot of import alerts and warning letters, especially in India. Second thing is that they have not visited China for last 3-4 years, and now they are going to start their visit to China. So I think focus will shift towards China in terms of regulatory things. India, largely companies are doing well in terms of regulatory compliance and all. There is 1 or 2 issues where we see that the US FDA is being harsh on them, but largely I think they are doing well in terms of regulatory issues.
All right. Let's talk about Cipla in particular. Of course, there hasn't been any color, off late on the promoter stake sale or any update on that matter. But ever since there was a whiff of this happening, we saw the stock stage a very smart rally. So, do you think among the top 3, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, and Sun Pharma, do you think Cipla warrants a look at the current juncture, given the fact that once there is some color on how the promoter stake sale is going to proceed, is the stock poised for more upside at that point?
So Cipla, if you see in the last 3-4 years, is the most consistent performer among the large cap pharma companies. So they have beaten the domestic IPM growth very handsomely. Even during this quarter also, they have done very well in the India market. Secondly, when everybody else was struggling in the US market, Cipla was among the very few companies which was able to perform in the US market, led by good launches. And now their US business has almost reached to around $900 million. So given said that, yes, there's a parallel news which is going on, and then that is the promoter is looking to sell the stake. Cipla is a very well-run ship. If you see in terms of the revenue growth, in terms of cost optimization, so I think that for someone acquiring and improving from here onwards looks a little difficult. The only thing which I can see is that their domestic franchise, which is almost 50% of their revenue, is not that well recognized the way like some of the other peers like Mankind and all, they are trading at the multiples. So Cipla is still trading at around 25 times 1 year forward, where the other domestic focused companies are trading at around 40 plus multiple for next 1 year on PE basis. So if someone comes up and kind of take the pieces out and list it separately, then that is the only way to kind of do the unlocking in the value. Second, the issue which is coming on is that the ticket size of acquisition of Cipla is very high. So there are not many buyers which are there in the market. So there is 1 or 2 PE guys, and I think Torrent is the one who is looking to buy. And plus, I think promoter is also looking for some kind of premium on the price which is it being traded at. So I think these are the things which are leading to kind of delay in the deal happening, to my sense. But nonetheless, Cipla is a very well-run company and is doing very well in terms of performance. And last quarter performance also was very good. Umang is doing quite a good job. And there's one disclosure that we hold Cipla in our portfolio.
All right, that's about Cipla. Let's also talk about Gland Pharma now. Deepak, given the fact that the stock, of course, had come off quite a bit from its listing price, but do you think the company is on track for a recovery? Given the fact that we've seen stable pricing and volume-led growth in the quarter gone by, do you think this this stock is on the recovery path now, Gland Pharma?
Yes, you're right, Nitika. So last year was very tough for the Gland Pharma because few of their clients left because they moved out of the business, and as a result, Gland Pharma was struggling with their top line, and plus they had few concentration in the products, which because of the increasing competition, they seen the heat. And third, because of the pricing pressure in the US market, that also impacted their margin. So these were the few of the reasons why Gland Pharma was under stress last year. But start of this year has been very good for the Gland Pharma. If you see, the company has been able to grow quarter on quarter for the last 2 quarters, and their margins also has been improved. In this quarter also, the base business margin improved from 30% to 34%, and plus the top line growth was almost 10% plus in the base business. Second, what the company has done is they've done the acquisition of Cenexi in Europe. That also, I think, is beautifully getting integrated in the company. This business, Cenexi, is also into a CMO, but they have a much more superior gross margin than Gland Pharma. However, their EBITDA margins are less than 10%. So going forward, that is one of the key growth drivers that the company is investing into this Cenexi acquisition and trying to bring growth, and plus unlocking the efficiencies in this company. So as the margins will expand, you will see overall growth in the EBITDA for the Gland also. Plus, with the stabilization of pricing in US market, Gland is seeing good recovery in the base business also. I think this recovery and this performance will continue for the next few quarters also.
All right, so Gland is on recovery path, but very quickly, Pidilite Pharma management expects to hit a purple patch in the coming quarters. In fact, in the second half of the current fiscal, very strong outlook coming in, and of course, the stock, of course, has been, on an upward trajectory. So, what are your thoughts there on a Pidilite Pharma?
So, I have not seen Pidilite Pharma for last few years, so I'll not be able to comment on Pidilite Pharma.
Deepak, no worries. With that, thanks a lot for taking out time and joining in, and of course sharing your thoughts on the pharma, pocket. It was a pleasure speaking to you this morning.
Thanks, Nitika.
Well, with that, let's shift focus and go back to Kunal and talk about specific stocks. First of all, I want to get in your thoughts on the Nifty Bank Index. Kunal, very strong recovery coming in. In fact, around midday we were firmly in the red, but we managed to reverse course and end the day higher when it comes to the Nifty Bank Index. And this morning we also have a query coming in on HDFC Bank. From Rishi, particularly, asking whether or not it can go back to its glory days or not when it comes to the stock price. What would you say to that? And of course, the levels on the Nifty Bank that you'll be watching out for.
So, if you look at the overall formation on the Bank Nifty, we can't forget the 18th of October as a day, because that was the day when we saw the first breakdown. And the breakdown was at around 43,900 kind of levels. The closing was 43,888 on the spot Nifty, Bank Nifty. And from there, we saw the sizable correction right till 42,000 kind of levels. Now we have seen the recovery. Now we are back to that breakdown level. In technicals, we give a lot of importance to it because that's called as the retesting of the breakout zone. So yes, as of now, I turn little cautious on the Bank Nifty. Upside is kept at around 250 to 300 points from the present level, which is 44,000 to 44,100 kind of levels. We'll have to see whether it consolidates at that level, and then we can take the call further. When it comes to HDFC Bank, again, the formations are just muted. The counter is holding on to the support, but there is no momentum as such. I'm just waiting for 1510, 15 kind of mark to cross on the higher side. Then I think we can expect some kind of momentum. But till then, I think HDFC Bank might just remain in the sideways consolidation, the support being 1460 and the resistance being 1500 to 1510 kind of levels.
All right, that's the view on the Nifty Bank and HDFC Bank as well. Hope that answers your query. But, let me take up a query on Apollo Tyre, given the fact that the company reported its numbers yesterday. Numbers were fairly okay. If you look at, the profit performance, a multifold jump coming in. Revenues were a little muted, 5% uptake, but margins were also pretty healthy at 18.5% versus 12% on a YY basis. But if you look at the stock performance, over the last 1 month, you've seen JK Tyre clocking in gains of somewhere around 27 to 28%. But Apollo Tyre, muted gains 3 to 4% or thereabouts. But do you think that could change here on, or what are your thoughts on the stock?
I really doubt, reason being the massive correction was witnessed on 11th of August when the counter actually lost almost around 8.5%. And since then, this counter has been in sideways consolidation. If you look at the average price, which is at around 370 kind of levels, right now it's at 384. And yesterday also we saw some kind of pressure on the counter. I think unless this counter crosses 395, 400 kind of mark on the higher side, one should not really think of bullishness in this counter. On the lower side, we have a support of 370. If someone wants to play on the trading range, then these are the levels to watch out for, which is 370 as a support and 395 to 400 as a resistance. I mean, in between that we can trade, but otherwise the directional momentum will be emerged only after either it crosses 400 on the higher side or 370 on the lower side.
All right, Prateek had a query on Apollo Tyre. Hope that answers your query, Prateek. But let's take up a query on Aisha Motors. This one is coming in from Rajesh Veera. Wants to know your thoughts over the long term for this stock. Of course, company will be reporting its numbers on Friday. How is it looking? I think over the last 1 week, it has, clocked in a 6% kind of a gain. Do you think it is only headed higher from here?
So yes, certainly we are very bullish on Aisha Motor, and the day when we initiated a positional buy on this was somewhere in July 2022, where this counter first time managed to cross this 2900 to 3000 mark, and since then this counter is being poised in a positive trajectory, but yeah, it's a muted counter again. So immediate levels to watch out will be 3600, but because our viewer is expecting a positional view, I would say the positional view is certainly bullish. The trend is clearly higher top, higher bottom. Unless the counter falls below 3100, one can keep accumulating this counter and the momentum will pick up, I think, about 3700. We are sitting with a target of 4150 to 4200 on this.
All right, bullish call coming in on Aisha Motors. Hope that answers your query. But before we take up any more queries, I want to talk to you about the stock of the day, Shree Cement. Kunal, numbers came out yesterday. Looks like it is on solid ground when it comes to the quarterly performance. Multifold jump in profit. I think profit has doubled, 2.5%, 2.5 times growth in the net profit on a YY basis. You've seen revenues jump some around 20% or thereabouts. Strong margins close to 20% or thereabouts. Stock hasn't really been able to wow investors over the last 3 months or the last 1 month as well. But it is heading towards its 52-week highs nonetheless. Do you think 27,000 is something one can expect on the counter perhaps in the next few weeks?
So Nandita, if you look at the overall performance on this counter since November 2021, this counter tried crossing 27,200 to 300 kind of mark almost 5 times, but it was a failure. So I'm just waiting for this counter to cross 27,300 mark. That's as you rightly mentioned, near to 52 weeks high. So once it clocks in this 52 weeks high, that's going to be the breakout. Once that breakout is confirmed, I think one can expect the positional targets of 31,000 on this. But till then, I would stay cautious. Yes, the formations are very beautiful. One can keep on accumulating this counter on decline, but present level, I would not really be keen. I'll either buy near to say 25,500 kind of levels, or once it crosses 27,300 mark. So watch out for the breakout, and then we can initiate a buy for the momentum trade.
All right, watch out for a breakout on Shree Cement. But let's talk about the brokerage call of the day, Hindalco. Given the fact that Novelis has reported numbers and good numbers, margins have beaten estimates. EBITDA per ton has improved, and in fact, even the packaging volumes are expected to improve on a quarter-on-quarter basis in the US. So good, outlook coming in from Novelis. Brokerages are upbeat. Macquarie has an outperform rating on Hindalco, target price at 563. You have CLSA that has a buy rating, rating target at 575 rupees per share. Metals, of course, have been attempting to make a comeback. We've seen good buying action coming in yesterday as well. But on a YTD basis, Hindalco hasn't really given any kind of a good return, so to say. Going forward, 500 sometime soon, or do you think it is going to remain range bound?
So yes, rightly said. Again, this counter has been in sideways consolidation. Metals have shown some kind of comeback. But again, if I look at the overall formation, it's muted in the last 2 to 3 months. Precisely from 20th September so far, this counter tried crossing 495 mark almost 5 times. Yesterday was also one of the attempts where it made high of around 491, but it was a failure. So just wait for this breakout of 495. I think closing above 495 will open the doors for the counter till around 525 to 530 mark. But till then, I would stay cautious. Again, the formations are positive. So if someone is holding on the counter with a long-term mindset, certainly continue holding it undoubtedly. The support is 460. Keep accumulating on decline, but the momentum will pick up above 495.
All right, expect momentum to pick up above 495. But let's take up a query on Tata XLC. We have a query coming in from Abhinash, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Abhinash Sahu. He wants to know your thoughts on this particular stock. How would you play this stock now? Yesterday, it was up 5% or thereabouts. It is, in fact, it hit a fresh 52-week high as well. Do you think it's poised for some bit of correction here on, or do you think the charts are hinting at a further upside going forward?
So it was a wonderful breakout, in fact, witnessed yesterday, and that was confirmed on the daily chart. Now, from October 2022, it's a 52 weeks high, and so that the level of 8,000 was a breakout level. Counter managed to close near to 8,170, but I would just wait for 2 more days because I'm referring to the weekly chart for my positional trades. So I would say let's wait for a day or two. If the counter manages to close about 8,000, which seems definitely likely looking at the volumes, but I would just wait for the closing about 8,000, 8,050 kind of mark for Friday. Yes, it can be a positional buy with the target of 9,200 and the stop loss being 7,500. So yes, it's a buy on dip, and the breakout being 8,050. I think that would be the best level to initiate a buy from the favorable risk reward ratio, position target of 9,300 on the charts.
All right, Raj also had a query on Tata XLC. Hope that answers your query. But let's move on to the next one. This one is coming in on Schneider Electric, right? Sagar wants to know your thoughts on this particular stock after its earnings. On a 6-month basis, this stock has nearly doubled. Would you advise investors to look at it, given the fact that over the last 5 sessions also, it has done fairly okay?
To be very honest, on the chart, if I look at the formations, they are looking positive. Yes, the trend is definitely uptrend. But at the same time, the counter has, the way you said, the counter has already run up too much. Or the immediate levels, I would say 325, 330 can be the good support on the counter with the target of 360s. But I would not really be very keen to accumulate on the breakout because this is a trending counter. And so, I would wait for some kind of retracement, say near to 325 can be a good level to initiate, buy, and then hold the position with a trailing stop loss. Because the trend is positive, it can reward very good on a longer term basis. But the immediate breakout on the chart might not really give good returns. So I would really wait for the consolidation or say a bit of correction and then accumulate the counter from the positional mindset.
All right, that's the view then. But let's take up one last query now. This one is coming in from Alex. Wants to know your thoughts on Sona BLW as to whether it's a good time to accumulate this stock, with a long-term perspective. How do you view this chart now, Sona BLW?
Yes, the counter really bounced back really well from the recent bottom, and what we saw was a panic bottom just last couple of weeks back near to 485, 490 kind of levels. So immediate support on the chart is 540. Yes, keeping that as a stop loss on the weekly closing basis, one can definitely buy. The breakout will definitely be pending. The breakout is placed at around 575, 580 kind of mark. But yes, one can definitely accumulate at the present level, stop loss being 530 to be on a safer side. The first target can be 620, and above that we can expect 695 on a longer term basis.
All right, that's the view on Sona BLW. This wraps up our query segment for today. If you couldn't take up your query, don't get disheartened. We'll try and take them up tomorrow. So keep them coming, on a daily basis. But, Kunal, before I let you go, what are you flagging off for viewers this morning in terms of stock picks?
So I have a couple of counters which are good from the positional point of view. The first is ICICI Prudential Life Insurance. If you look at the counter, it bounced really well in yesterday's session, and it really is offering good risk reward ratio from the 2 years long-term trend line in mind. So one can initiate a buy at the present level, stop loss being 525. The targets can be 570, being conservative, and definitely one can keep trailing the stop loss if the target is achieved. The second is New India Assurance. Again, this counter is in the channel formation since almost now 5 to 6 months, right near to the support and bouncing from that level itself. So one can initiate a buy on New India Assurance, stop loss being 140. The first target can be 150, followed by 160. And the third one is Sterling and Wilson Solar. This counter was in circuit yesterday, bouncing right from the 6 months old support trend line, and again offering favorable risk reward ratio. One can initiate a buy with the stop loss of 285, and the first target being 310. And again, on all three counters, I think the investors can just trail the stop loss and hold the position, because these three are looking at trending counters and can even reward better for the positional point of view.
All right, so those are the stock recommendations coming in this morning from Kunal. With that, Kunal, thanks a lot for taking out time and joining in, addressing all of your queries and, of course, sharing your recommendations for the day with us. Well, with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Morning Trade, but, would like to remind our viewers that at 9:30 a.m. I'll be touching base with the Money Control Pro team. In fact, Madhuchanda Dey will be joining in and speaking about, the reasons or, the rationale behind picking up 8 absolute gems for Samvat 2080. Of course, we'll be discussing that and, of course, the change in market trends and, what are the themes that are looking good for the coming Samvat. Well, we will be discussing all that. So tune in live at 9:30 a.m. for that. But for now, it's a goodbye from me on Morning Trade. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a great trading day and stay tuned for opening bell.